So, welcome to the first video of the build diary of this gem of a 626. Build diary is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I feel now that I'm starting this car from scratch, it's the best time really. All my previous projects have been cars that have been maybe half done, or I got carried away and hooked into it too quick before I could start documenting anything, so I thought this is a perfect time to document this build. So it's a early 80s Mazda 626 sedan, pretty bloody rough, bit of rust, bit of dents, deregoed, cheap as, so perfect really. I'm a sucker for cheap cars or free cars, so yeah, that's how I end up falling victim to these beaten up pieces really. Yeah, probably not the best place, the best shell to start with, but what do? Look at the upsides, I suppose. Glass isn't rusty, the front hasn't fallen off, plenty of air at the top of the tyres. Yeah, the plan for the car is I've pulled the 13B peripheral port out of my Corolla, K30 Corolla, which some of you will know. Pulled the 4-speed off it, which it had, and did it well for years, but I bought a RX-8 6-speed, so that'll be going on the back. I have TRS open wheeler slicks to put on it, 13-inch diameter slicks, which are 200 wide in the front, 240 wide in the rear. Full set of FC RX-7 coilovers, mainly because strut top wires in the front, they bolt up, rear do whatever, chop it up, make them fit. But the variable we've done is S chassis bottom mounts for the front, so I will run S chassis or Safiro, Laurel, whatever. Suspension in the front, crossmember, hubs, brakes, maybe not brakes depending on whether I can get a 13 to fit, highly unlikely, but we'll see. I've had 14s on one before, so anything's doable. Yeah, big diff in the back, big aero, probably Group C RX-7 styled, way lower, wider, real loud, probably straight pipe with a megaphone. Some wild paint, some cool livery. Plan is hopefully keep the back seats. I'd love to keep the back seats. All my other cars have been essentially 2-seaters, and it's a bit boring when you want to go do events like Power Cruise or Chrome. Take some mates for a ride, so either no cage to start, or if I can, maybe do a cage with 2 main hoops so I can have back seats. Or no cage and then later on cage it. Got some cool old seats for it, steering wheels. Yeah, so I've got most of the parts. The idea has been in my head for a few years, so yeah, I've been collecting for a few years, parts wise, and I've had that thing for 6 or 7 years, I suppose. So yeah, now's the time. Still got plenty of other projects on the go. My Hi-Ace van camper, which recently got panelled and painted, here in the shed. The KP Starlet's getting some upgrades, keep it drifting and hopefully get it road legal. So why not start another? See what we can do. These are the slicks that I'll be building the car around. Like I said, off TRS open wheelers, 240 wide, 570 tall, 13s on the back. I think they're made for an 11-inch wide rim. Might stretch it out to 12 just because it's a good round number. Fronts off the front of the open wheelers, 200 wide, 540 tall, 13-inch again. I think they are made for a 9-inch wide rim, so probably do a 10 as well. Yeah, so 13 by 10 front, 13 by 12 rear. Be building some wide steel wheels for it. Maybe in the future, if funds allow, which is not that likely, maybe build some alloys out of that wide, but I can build some wide steels here in the shed, so we'll do a video about that. And plus, wide steels are cool. Gonna have to cut the outer skins off the car in big flares, keep them clear, but hopefully no real tubbing. They're not huge tyres in the height, so should be able to get it right down. Maybe 25mm ride height or something like that. And yeah, should look awesome hopefully. Here's the 13V that'll be powering it. This, like I said, this came out of my Corolla. It's an absolute trooper of a motor. This will be the third car it's been in since it was built in PP configuration. Must be easy 8 years old now. I never drove it sedately. Every time I drove it as hard as I could. Stout as, plenty of grunt for what it is. Looking a little sad, covered in dust, been in the shed for a few months, but nah, it's an awesome motor. Hopefully get a few more years out of it before it needs a pull down. Good old Rotary reliability. And stuff down under the bench. The old 4-speed that was on the motor, that's come off obviously, and the RX-8 6-speed behind it. Reason behind the 6-speed, close gears is a bonus for sure. I found with the 4-speed on the track in the old car, always ran out of gears. Like you'd just be wanting to cruise around and cool down and the thing would be screaming. Just with like a 4.8 and a 4-speed, it's hard work with small tyres, but hopefully having an overdrive with the 6-speed should be good. The motor was controlled by Microtech, which has been on it from day one. So when I bought the motor, the Corolla had the Microtech wired on, and I'd wired it up as a complete, sort of put some power and earth to it, and away you go. So I've still got all the loom and ECU, so it should be pretty simple. Put the motor in and power up the loom, and then it should be a goer, besides exhaust and plumbing obviously. But yeah, so the engine department shouldn't be too much work. I really should have water blasted it before it came in the shed, but coincidentally the water blaster just packed up, so wasn't to be. Couldn't be bothered getting the buckets out. So first step really will be get it up on some stands, pull the motor out, pull the drivetrain suspension out. It's had a few bits robbed over it over the years, been sitting there. Helped get a few other guys 626s on the road, which is always good. I always knew I was never going to really run anything out of it, so that was fine. All I needed was the body really and the bolt-ons. I've actually over the years scored some extra bits for it. Got some extra rear guards that came off another. Gee, she's a state there, isn't it? Got some extra tail lights and some bumpers, which are pretty knackered to be fair as well, and bits and pieces. So some suspension bits, should be spares and everything to do what we need to do. Just like that, it's all jacked up. I wish it was that easy. It's a bit of a mission actually jacking it up, because I know someone's going to ask about these. We'll go over it now. These suckers, lifesavers. A couple of steel wheels welded together, some caster wheels on. Gives you awesome height for getting under with a creeper or working on the engine bay at a nice height, especially if you like load cars like me. You get sick of bending over. I'd have a hoist for sure, but roof height doesn't allow it, so this is the next best thing. Not the cheapest thing to build. I mean, if you know what 100mm casters are worth, and there's 4 on each, so I don't know, maybe $300 or $400 you probably build a set for, but I've built plenty of cars on them, and yeah, lifesavers. Stick them under the wheels when you're working on the engine bay or gearbox or whatever, and if you need to work on the suspension or diff, you just jack the car up, stick them underneath the sills with a block of wood or straight on. Gold. Motor's out. I was a bit rough and a bit lazy, so a bit of butchering getting it out. I was draining the trans as I was lifting it because I couldn't be bothered draining it prior, but whatever, it's all good. So yeah, so motor's out, suspension's out, steering's still in there, but pretty filthy, a lot of other shit to remove. Plan of attack, I guess, is first just rid the car of everything that isn't going to be used, give it a bit of a tidy up, make it not so filthy to work on, and yeah, other than that, obviously other than clean, the first thing will be is to get some front suspension and steering into this thing. So hang on. So the reason behind doing the Nissan S chassis, Safari Laurel, etc., doing that swap is I originally thought I would do Series 4 or 5 RX-7 stuff, but that gear is hard to find, or getting harder to find, and expensive because everyone wants it for old RX stuff and for obviously RX-7 stuff. And I wanted to get away from the original steering box setup, so go to a rack. So my options were the RX-7 stuff, which I flagged that because they're at the price and hard to get. Nissan stuff's easy to get, easy to work with. Aftermarket parts are easy, not that I'll probably use too much, but yeah. So the first thing really will be getting a cross member in the hole there, making sure that the strut top width is going to be pretty similar to what it was in the Nissan, which I have measured and it's pretty close. Getting the crossmember mounted forward enough to get the same sort of caster that the Sylvia's run, which is quite a bit compared to old cars. Probably raise the crossmember a fair bit too, try and tuck it up just to get, because of the height I'm going to run it at, just to get the steering geometry back in check. And as far as motor positioning goes, I am planning to try and get the motor to sit back as far as it can. Maybe we'll see how we go, maybe behind the crossmember. If it's going to need too much forward chopping, I'll flag that idea. Not that I'm afraid of chopping it up and doing whatever, but I just don't really feel like having to work on a motor that's tucked way back in the firewall. So yeah, we'll work on cleaning the thing up, getting the Nissan suspension and steering in. That'll be everything from crossmember, arms, hubs, caster arms, and steering column as well. Make it easy. Yeah, once we've got that, we'll put a motor in, or try to put a motor in. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.